government aid, and not that it's a bad thing, but it's you can tell the difference from someone who grew up in some type of struggle versus someone who grew up in a more stable environment.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, we grew up. We were welfare babies. My parents didn't have a whole lot. My dad worked morning, noon, and night. For whatever job he can get. He had a full-time job and worked evenings, and he was a carpenter and painted houses for extra money, and when they had the money. And then when he didn't have a job, my mom had to go on welfare, take care of us. There was 5 of us. So total 7 of us growing up in the house in North Philly, in the Badlands, Fairhill section of North Philly. So we grew up there. I went to Fairhill School, which is the elementary school around the corner. I went to Edison, the old Edison, before, they closed it down. It wasn't the best area. We had the drug dealers on the corner. We had, the shootouts down the street. Mom kept us close to home. There was just a lot of things that we weren't able to do, and a lot of things that we didn't have. We had a bookshelf full of books. So that's what I did. I read and read and read. I did everything any book I could get my hands on, I read. So it was more towards Mom didn't want us to be her.
Oh, okay.
To be her. She wanted us to be successful. She didn't want us to struggle. She didn't want us to go through what she went through. She was a 17-year-old mom. So she didn't want to have that for her girls. And there's 4 of us and my brother. So she didn't want to know that. But she taught us to be independent.
You're good. It's okay. It's a lot. I mean, I know, like you said, 5 kids in a house. And I'm sure more than one. I mean, that's the story of a lot of people. The difference is, what makes that a lot harder is some people continue that cycle.
Yes.
They go from being in that area, welfare babies. They see, some people even make it a full-time job trying to make sure that they can get welfare.
Oh, no, I've seen that. I've definitely seen that.
And then they teach their kids, and their kids do the same thing, and it's just a vicious cycle, and they don't ever leave that area of poverty.
Yeah.
So for you to come out and...
It's a desire. It's a desire not to be that way. It's a desire to want more. It's a desire to get out of the neighborhood. It's a desire to be able to want to say... enough. I want what's in those books. I want what I read. I had the fantasies, and the realities of it was a little harsher than I thought. But if you work hard enough and you strive hard enough, you can get whatever you want. And it's all
sometimes that's the case, right?
That's it. I mean, you just gotta want it hard enough. If you want it bad enough, it'll come.
I think a lot of it has to do with knowing that there's something else out there.
Yes, that's the first step. You got to know that there's something bigger than just Philadelphia or North Philadelphia, or wherever you're growing up in, whatever part of the city you're from. There's more. There's a whole giant world out there. And I think the positive part of all of this is those books that I read. They made me want more. They made me want to strive for more. I left high school going, I'm going to graduate college and I'm going to get my master's degree. I didn't get my master's degree till I was 40. But
you did it.
I got my master's degree. Yeah. It was hard, but it was something. If you want it bad enough, if you really, really want it bad enough, you just got to go get it. You got to have that desire. You got to have that strive. You got to want to go and get out. Just get out. And once you're out there, you never want to go back. My dad still lives in the same house I grew up in. So it's hard for me to go back there because I don't want to ever go back there. I'm trying to get him out of there. He doesn't want to leave. So, and it's the old folks, they get used to, the same old. But at the same token, there's just so much more in this world that everyone should be able to go out there and get. No matter what your situation is, no matter how hard you think it is. If you work hard enough, it's all about how bad you want it.
And life will teach you all that stuff. There's a lot of people think, or that old saying, the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes it's not,
Yep.
but you're never going to know until you go and cross that,
Absolutely.
hop that fence, cross that bridge, take that leap of faith. One thing I like to tell people that I know who either don't ever leave Philly or my friends, growing up here is, what do you got to lose?
Yep.
If it fails or if you fail, like you had an experience and then you see what else is out there and you can come back here. It's not like Philly's going anywhere.
Right.
But if you succeed, the benefits are endless.
Absolutely. And I just tell people, Philly's, you got to love Philly to stay in Philly. You either love it or you don't. So I'm still in Philly. I don't particularly live in Philly. I'm on the borderline here, but I've done everything to try to get out of Philly. Philly always pulls me back. So now I'm trying to make it positive, keep it positive, and keep it going. If this is where I'm supposed to be, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to help my folks, then this is where I'm going to help my folks. Because I don't just do taxes for my pocket. I do taxes to help people. I've been doing taxes since 1997. And they were paper and pencil and calculators back then. We didn't have all these programs and direct to the IRS kind of stuff back then. So it was a long journey. I'm still on it. I'm not done yet. I still got a few years left in me. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for longevity. I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for some place that I can actually call my home. Philly was home for a while. I don't think it's going to be home permanently right now, but right now, in the future anyway. But right now, it is, and I'm just making the best of it. I'm just taking it one day at a time, and trying to make things better all around, and making it work for me. My kid's doing great, so I don't have anything to worry about him. But there's always that. I like to be closer to him, but in time.
What is along the way when you started till now? What is something that you wish you had known? What's something you know now that you wish you had known?
Everything. Everything.
What's one big thing that stands out to you that you're like, man, if I would have known this, like that light bulb switch,
I would have went to college, got my business degree at 23, probably be a CEO someplace in some company right about now. You never know. There was a lot of things that I didn't do that I should have done. No regrets. Everything I've ever done in my life, I'd do it all over again if I had to. But at the same token, it's, well, what if I would have done it this way and then did that? But those what ifs, you can't even look at those things. You just got to make do with what you do have and try to make it better.
Did you have any mentors growing up or any people who kind of showed you the way into this field that you're in now?
Not really. I really didn't have a whole lot of movement. I didn't have anyone telling me you should try this, you should try that, maybe this didn't work, maybe that. I kind of just did that on my own.
Which is a huge testament to your success, because growing up in North Philly, out of a family of 5 or 7 rather,
yeah,
having a kid and just, coming all the way up here, it's like, especially with no mentors and not for nothing, but not a lot of people are in your field that are willing. Like I always say, Philly's like a dog-eat-dog world. There's this mentality here. We've covered this on a previous podcast with another guest, but there's this scarcity mentality where it's like, if I help you, that's not enough. That's not going to be enough money. There's not going to be enough to go around.
Right.
So I got to look out for number one first. Right. When in fact, it's the complete opposite. Correct. If you start helping someone else, let's just say you had a mentor and they helped you, and you can give him business or her business or, whatever the case is. But
well, I try to live by you give what you get. So, I'm not, again, I've been doing taxes for a long time. So a lot of my clientele is Spanish speaking. They really don't understand. They don't want to go to H&R Block because they feel like they're getting robbed. They don't want to go to, one of those side, tax places because they feel like all they do is take their money. They don't explain anything to them. So, I started doing this more to help people than to actually make money off of it. The money helps, But back then it was more, what do you need? What do you mean you don't understand? This is how it works, and this is what you have to do. I have clients that come to me every year in the beginning of the year. I got my W-4 this year. What am I going to put on here? Or my W-4. So, it's something that you should be reviewing every year, just so that you maximize your tax. You don't have to pay out of pocket. So there's a few things that can be done to help these folks, because you want to make sure that they get their money back. You want to make sure that they worked really hard for their money. So you want to make sure you can do the best that you can for these folks. So they always come back with the questions, and you want to be as, prim and proper with them. You want to be as honest with them, because, honesty gives honesty. You want to be honest with folks. You want to not try to take advantage of people. I'm not going to sit here. Somebody got a refund for $6,000. I'm not charging them $500-$600. That's their money.
It's funny you say that, because I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago at all. And we were talking about taxes, and they were talking about how the first time they did their tax, they went to H&R Block. They didn't know anything. They didn't know what they should put as far as exemptions. I mean, taxes, it's a little confusing, especially if that's not your world.
Exactly.
And he said after he got done, they were like, okay, you owe X amount of $1,000. He's like, what? And she's like, and that'll be another $300 something for it. He's like, what did you do? You didn't do anything.
Exactly.
You didn't, and it's that stuff.
It's frustrating. I actually initially trained back in 2000 with H&R Block. I actually worked with them for a spring, and I did not like anything they were doing for the people. They don't do anything for anyone. If you're not giving them the paperwork, they're not going to ask you for it. They have this whole script that they write up that you're supposed to follow, and I felt like I wasn't helping anybody. All I felt like I was gouging these people because I couldn't ask them the right questions. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what about the person? What about this individual sitting here? They work really hard for their money,
especially coming from where you come.
Absolutely. So I've seen it one too many times. I feel like people take advantage of the unknowledgeable, the uneducated, and this is where it's really sad, because Philadelphia is a big city. It's not the biggest city, but there's a lot of people in Philadelphia, and there's a lot of people that need help.
It's in the top 10. It's the poorest of the top 10.
Yes, exactly, and that's kind of where I was getting at. So yeah, you want to try and help these folks, because there's nobody out there that wants to help these people. All they're out is make a buck and keep walking. Just like I said, April 15th comes, the doors close. April 16th, you can't even get a hold of anybody. I've had multiple clients come to me and go, I had a tax preparer, but I can't seem to get a hold of them in April or in August. What do you mean you can't get a hold of them? Well, I need questions for next year, and I can't even get a hold of my tax account because I was on vacation all the rest of the year. And well, I'm here. What do you need? I get calls, 8 o'clock at night. I get emails. I get text messages. So I'm always there for my clients.
For somebody looking to follow in your footsteps, go into the field that you're in right now, what are some of the best resources that you found? And what's some advice you would probably give them to do that proficiently, not waste their time, and get the ball rolling pretty good for them?
I mean, if they're dead set and they really, really enjoy finance and they know numbers and they're good with numbers, my best advice would be community college for a couple years. Take all your basic courses, your maths, your sciences, your Englishes. You can even take your basic business classes there. Business 101, math, business math, the real simple stuff, only because it gets costly when you get to a 4-year college. You do your 2-year college, you pay the minimum, and now they're talking, hopefully in the next term, we get somebody in office that would help us all out. They're talking about free community college.
Yeah.
So, even that's a huge step for anybody that wants to go to college and can't afford it. You got free education.
I'd never understood the argument against it, because the
cost is cheaper. The cost
is
not
only that,
cheaper.
but there's just put the cost on the back burner. The fact that you got X amount of people who are no longer going to college because of how much it costs.
Right.
getting in debt that they'll never be able